Hi guys, welcome back to Fratelli Roma. You're with Dan, and we're going to do a quick video today on how we make some of our sorbet and gelato. Hi everyone, it's Dan from Fratelli. Welcome back. We're going to be doing a quick video today on how we make some of our sorbets and gelatos in the kitchen. It's one of our favourite things to do in the restaurant, making our own ice creams from our dairy-based ones and our fruit-based ones. I particularly love doing the fruit-based ones. I think they're just great. So we've got some beautiful fresh pineapples here that we've got from our wonderful fruit and veg supplier, Peel Produce, Bluey, who we've been with for like 19 years now. So thanks, Bluey. Thanks for the pineapples, mate. And so we're just going to go through this now, what we do, what we look for when we're making them, and the kind of process, the basic sort of process we do to make them. So first things first, we're going to cut, peel our pineapple and process them ready to go, and then we'll probably come back in a second and go from there. So we usually get these in and then leave them on the shelf in the sun just to finish opening and get them nice and flavoursome. You can tell they're going to make great sorbet because they've got that beautiful aromatic sort of. I just love making pineapple sorbet. They're so great, and when it's done right, it comes through so nicely in sorbet. So yeah, we've got top and bottom. We're going to take the husk off. I try not to waste hardly any. I usually leave a little bit of the pip on so we can get as much of the fruit out. Because once we have cut this, we will blend the fruit, and then we're going to pass it anyway. So we'll remove any of the small bits of husk or anything left on it when we go through that process. So at this stage, really, I'm just trying to process them through, lose as little as possible. Okay, so we've got all of our pineapple processed. And now we're going to place it into our pot ready to blitz. We're just going to use our stick blender now to process the pineapple down into a nice juice so we can pass it and get it nice and clean, ready for sorbet. Okay, so we've got our pineapples processed and they smell beautiful. Delicious. Okay, so the next step is just to pass our juice. I'll go that one first. All right, ready? Okay, so we're going to pass our We're going to pass our pineapple juice. We're going to pass it through a fine conical sieve first, and then we're going to pass it through a mesh strainer to take out all the tiny particles, so we've just got a really clean juice. What? So once you sort of pass most of the juice, you'll be left with the pulp, and then I really try to put some work in to squeeze any of that last juice that we can out of that pulp to maximise our yield. Okay, so we're back. We've got our juice first pass. Now we're going to pass the juice back through a fine sieve now. So it's just a very, very, very fine metal sieve. It will leave us with just a really clean juice. Man. All right, we're good? All right, so we've got our pineapple juice passed. It's a lot of work. So we've got a beautiful, clean and flavoursome juice that we've made. We want it free of any form of grain or sedimentation from the pineapple, and we want it nice and pure and clean because we don't want any kind of texture or grain in our sorbet when we finally churn it. So what I'm going to do now is the part that I love the most about this part. So we have our vanilla gelato and we have our coconut. We have set recipes for those that we've developed in-house, and they're just followed. Okay, so we'll just start again. We're just going to make our sorbet now, so we're going to do it from scratch. The thing about making fruit sorbets is that, unlike our dairy-based ones, our coconut gelato and things like that, fruit-based sorbets need to sort of just know what you're doing and know how to make them correctly. So if the sugar content isn't right, then you either end up with a sorbet that goes really icy and sets really hard, or if it's too high, then they won't set correctly and they'll end up really syrupy. And then it's just a matter of seasoning. So we've got a natural juice here. We're going to add some sugar to that to make it taste the way I want it to taste. And then we're going to add enough of that in to be able to get the consistency right. So there's two things I use to manipulate that. So we have sugar, just general caster sugar, which we add in. The other thing I use is glucose. So glucose will bring our sugar content up in the sorbet, enabling it to set correctly. So if I don't want it to be too sweet, so whenever I'm making my sorbets, I want them to taste like fruit. So I don't want them to taste like jam. So if I'm making a strawberry sorbet, then I want that freshness and that natural sort of strawberry flavor and aroma to come through in the sorbet. I don't want it to taste like a jam. So if you add too much sugar to anything like that, that's what you end up with, like a really jammy sort of tasting kind of sorbet, and it doesn't taste natural. So I want to add just enough sugar to be able to enhance the flavor of the pineapple, but I don't want to add too much where it doesn't taste like natural pineapple anymore. So if I can't get the right sugar content into the juice, the stock we're making, to be able to do that, then I use glucose to bring that content up to be able to make the sorbet set right, but without adding sweetness. So glucose enables us to sort of bring that sugar content up, but it adds very little sweetness to the sorbet. So the first thing I'm going to do is just taste the juice. And I'm just going to add caster sugar now into that to be able to just take that little bit of edge off it and make it taste really good. So I've got my caster sugar. I'm going to add some of this in. Basically going to treat it like I'm seasoning the dish. So if I was seasoning like a bolognese or something like that with salt and pepper, well, that's what I'm doing with our stock. I'm seasoning the stock with sugar to get the flavor where I want it. And I want to add just enough sugar to be able to take the bitterness off it and make it taste nice and round without adding too much sugar where it just tastes like confectionery. We want it to taste like pineapple juice. Delicious. God damn. All right, a little bit more. So now I've got that where I'm happy. I'm just going to use my finger and I'm going to rub it, and I'm just feeling for the viscosity of it to feel how it feels. You can buy a sugar density meter, but they're like $400, and we just haven't invested in one. And just from experience, usually we can get them right most of the time. So I'm just going to add a nice spoonful of glucose to this. So the other thing I'm really mindful of when I'm making fruit sorbet is not to cook it. So I've got this on the heat, but I'm only adding enough heat to the stock to be able to dissolve our sugar and to dissolve our glucose. I never heat fruits. Like the moment you heat anything like a fruit or natural products like honey and things like that, it changes the flavor profile. And so whenever I'm making fruit sorbet, I'm really mindful of not getting it anywhere near boiling point. I'm really only just warming it slightly enough to be able to dissolve our sugar and glucose. So that glucose is dissolved now. I'm just going to check my consistency again. Wash my hands, finger, and then just feeling it. I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to check the flavor. It's beautiful. And it's so aromatic, you know what I mean? Like, I love that about passion fruit, pineapple, any of those, like grapefruit, strawberries. Like, if you're using fresh fruit, local fruit, and you're making them, it's not just like a flavor. You also just get all those beautiful, like, aromatics coming through, and it's just so good. So, yeah, I'm happy with this. The other thing we do with our pineapple sorbet is we just add a pep of extra virgin olive oil. It's from Est, actually. Christine and I dined there years ago. Peter, wonderful chef. He's retired now, and Justin Hems has closed Est in Sydney, but it was just the most beautiful restaurant. We used to go there for our anniversaries, and I remember, you know, still to this day, we had a beautiful palate cleanser there. We had a pineapple sorbet, a pineapple and olive oil sorbet that was matched on a yogurt sauvignon with a lavender crystal, wasn't it? And it was beautiful. And to this day, I still, you know, I just always love doing that with our sorbet. You're only adding a very, very small amount. Olive oil has a very strong flavor, but it gives it just a little bit of pep, like a bit of spice, and just churns really nicely through it. Yeah, and now we're going to take this off the heat, take it over to our ice cream churner, and churn. All right. And here we are at the back of the kitchen. This is like our kitchen stuffed full of equipment. But this equipment, you know, when we opened this restaurant years ago, Chris and I we had no money, and investing in anything was such a big deal. I remember buying our first ice cream machine like 16 years ago because we wanted to start churning our own ice creams, and you know, that was just such a huge investment. And we had that same machine for 14 years. I don't know how many times I repaired that machine, like many times. And it finally bit the dust early last year. And it was a Musso, one of their semi-commercial ones. And we were going to buy the same unit, but we ended up investing in the commercial variant of it, which is this. We call it Slab because it's just a massive weapon. And it makes the best ice cream. And, you know, it's the sentiment to the restaurant because, you know, with Christine and I, we literally spend money on these kind of things rather than ourselves. You know, the amount of money and time you put into the restaurant and the kitchen, and you know, things like this equipment, when you've paid for it yourself and you've added it to your own kitchen, like they become like really, you know, wonderful parts of the kitchen. So like we're very proud to own it, and you know, very proud of the ice creams that we make using it. So it's a large batch machine. You can make up to 3 liters at a time, which is great when you come from a machine where you can only really churn 1 liter to 1.5 liters at a time. And also it is a transmission driven machine, so it uses a belt and pulley. So for anyone in the industry that's looking at them, I know there's very little information on these out there, but yeah, these use a transmission. That's the main difference between the churner and the motor turning it. There's a belt. So one of the large problems with ice cream when you're churning them in-house is if you set a timer and they over churn, then the bowl will freeze, and then the mechanism seizes, and then the gear breaks, and then you're stuck repairing your ice cream machine. With this type of system, the churning mechanism itself is much more robust, so you can churn the ice creams to a more frozen density, which means you can make better ice cream, you can get a better churn and a more lighter aeration, and you can also, you don't get damage when the machine finishes. When the machine gets over churned, the belt slips as opposed to the gear just breaking. All right, we can just go it all. Okay, so we set our machine, lid. There's 2 buttons basically, it's very simple. It's just got a churner and then the freezing mechanism. So what we do is for the full batch, we need 60 minutes. We'll do the full 60 minutes. We'll come back to you guys in a little while and we'll check on it. And then from there, we'll finish it up. I hope you enjoyed it and look forward to trying the sorbet at the end. Thanks very much. All right, welcome back. It's night time now. Kristen and I just ducked back down to the kitchen. We've had the second batch churning. We churned one batch today during service. We did have to make a small adjustment. I added a tiny bit more glucose in. As it starts to churn, I just look at the consistency in the churner. I'm looking to see that it's freezing nicely into a good solid, but I'm also just looking to make sure that we're not getting any ice crystals forming. If I see that when it first starts to churn, it just tells me that, yeah, we haven't got quite enough sugar content in there, and I'll pull it out and I'll just make an adjustment to that before it churns very much. You see it really early. So yeah, it's the second batch now. It's just about to finish and we're going to scoop it out. I've got one tub put aside from the churn today, and I'll quickly show you that scooped, and then this one we'll just have a look at now. Beautiful. And it tastes so good. I was trying it today. Yeah, pineapple is probably one of my favorites, I think. Just like how delicious when you get really great fruit, and it tastes the flavor's so full and rich, and it's so refreshing too, which is basically what we use this for. We have it available for our dietaries. It's obviously vegan friendly and also dairy free. So it's a good dessert option, and part of our restaurant, the mentality of the restaurant, that we try to provide options for everyone. We like to have things like this available, so we've got that flexibility with the menu, but most of the time we just use it for palate cleansers for people at an anniversary, or special guests of ours, or people that we just love seeing at the restaurant. We just do it for, a lot of it just is used for that, for doing treats for people, and it's really nice for that. It's beautiful and fresh, and a lovely way of refreshing the palate after eating tea. So yeah, that's the second batch, and the batch that we churned today. You can see it's just beautiful. It's all the things I'm looking for. I love doing things like this, just trying to doing something simple but executing it really well. I'm looking for that beautiful scoop. It's not too icy. It's scooped together really well, and the consistency is really lovely. And then yeah, obviously the flavor. We're just looking for a nice, rich, full, and refreshing sorbet. And it just tastes exactly like pineapple, which is the goal. We don't want it tasting like a fruit or a jam. It tastes really fresh and just like you're eating a pineapple. It's awesome. So yep, that's our sorbet. We do heaps of them. At the moment, we've got strawberry. We've got a blood orange. For some blood orange we had frozen left over from when they were in season. We've got Valencia orange. We've got our coconut, our vanilla. We've also got a hazelnut on. I think that's all. Our strawberry. Did I say strawberry? The strawberry and lime. Yeah. So we churn them all the time, and we love working with them. I hope that helps. It was just a little insight to one of the things we do, introducing you to our beautiful ice cream machine, which we're super proud of, and yeah, one of the elements of the restaurant that we think make it so great. Thanks very much. I look forward to seeing you guys again. And now I'm filming for Christine to try.
Beautiful, Dan.